coming back to Soweto, building her the house, giving her the money, giving her the car, but at what expense? She had a
Hello,
child.
everybody. How are you? Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're keeping well. Listen, it's been hotter than a rat's ass in London for the past few days, and it's only just cooled down, maybe in the last couple of days. So I'm enjoying this cool moment before the heat comes back again. I don't know. And our houses aren't built for this. So all I've been doing is trying to keep cool. Have you seen The Polygamist? It's on Netflix, 22 episodes. Look, I saw people talking about it and I'm like, what is this show? I went in, had a look. I'm like, 22 episodes. No, I'm not interested. But I kept seeing all the short videos from it, all the notes that people were talking about it. And I thought, okay, I'm going to watch this show. Let's give it a try. Oh my God. Oh my God. First of all, kudos to everyone involved, all the actors, all the cast and crew, everybody. If you go on like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, I think last weekend or the weekend before, everyone was talking about it. Job well done. Because you put African cinema in everyone's note, in everyone was talking about it. I think it's because everyone saw it felt familiar. You either know someone who's experiencing it, or you've heard of someone who's experiencing it, or you're from a family who's experienced the stories in this. First of all, let me talk about the writer, because it's an adaptation from a novel by the same name, The Polygamist. And the writer, Sutton Yati, she released this book 2012. That would make it 14 years ago. Yes, 14 years ago. She wrote this novel, published it in 2012, and I saw an interview where she was talking about the ups and downs of getting the book published. No one was like seeing it for her. She had two options, writer's options that expired. Somebody will pick it up and this needs to be a film or a series, and then the option will expire. Somebody else will sign it. It just wasn't getting any traction. And then 14 years later, we're all here talking about it. So well done to her for hanging in there. Well done, Sue. Well done, well done. She's from Zimbabwe. The director is Nigerian. His name is Akiyomoto Shaw. The cinematographer is by the name Fahima Hendricks. Look, it looked so good. It was well shot. Another thing that I appreciated is that when it comes to like the fashion, when it comes to the fashion, you know, that opulent African fashion where more is more, nothing quiet about African fashion. This is all displayed on this film. It's gorgeous. It looks amazing. It looks so well done. So I felt really proud from that front. Now to the madness. Let's talk about Jonasi, the main character, the villain, the one who everyone held on for 22 episodes to see him 6 feet down. Because I think everyone was watching those 22 episodes because we were like, this guy has to, this guy has to die. I kept thinking to myself, so no one in this house knows how to make poison. What the hell is going on? He is who I'd call a raging demon. He he's a user, and he knows it. He's not accountable to anyone. He knows he could get away with anything. He's enabled. He knows it. He throws his weight around. You know, when it comes to, if you're familiar with African families and community and what's important and what they hold dear to heart, there's something about where the younger person gives reverence to the older person. When somebody misbehaves, people ask, where are the elders? Who's your family? Who's your father? Where are you from? None of that. Because I kept asking the same question. I'm like, this is an African film, right? This is an African story. Where are his people? He had an elder brother who he employs. And so I felt like the elder brother, I felt frustrated by the elder brother. Who I kept thinking to myself, okay, you're the elder brother. Do something. Even the elder brother lied on the younger brother's behalf. He did right towards the end, but I felt like he was too late. Like so much had gone on. He should have intervened a long time ago. But then on the other side, I understand, if you're familiar with African families, with the African community, you would have seen where Okay, so the norm is that the younger gives deference to the older. That norm is turned on its head when money is introduced, when wealth is introduced. So Jonasi's got money and he's able to throw his weight around. If you've got money, whether somebody is older than you or younger than you is inconsequential. It's like you throw your weight around. Whatever you say goes. He's probably got the police officers in his pocket. He's got the governor in his pocket. He can call, it's a phone call away. He can call someone to like end your life like that. So everybody defers to him, even though he's not necessarily the older person, but he's the richest person. So the brother can't do anything really because he will lose his job. As we saw some episodes down the line, when he finally found his voice, he of course was fired. So I understood from that point of view. But earlier on, I kept saying that, come on, somebody had to do something, kill this guy, get rid of him. He is a perfect villain in that sense. But on the other hand, I wanted to understand what is his backstory, what is his origin story, what type of community, what type of society produces a man like Jonasi, Jonas, even though his name is spelled Jonasi, but it's Jonas. What kind of society produces a man like this who from the outside looking in, he looks like he's got this big hole in his heart that he needed to fill, hungry for life, but he couldn't find fulfillment anywhere else. The only way he could fill it up was by lying, by cheating, by having sex with anything that was walking. He had this first wife. He had the second wife, who we don't, is it first or second wife? So there's a dispute within whether it's a first or second wife. Then he had the third, who was his brother's girlfriend that he had to take. Then he had the fourth, who was his son's crush. Like, this guy had no boundaries. If he wanted it, he would have it. And that's it. That's it. But I really wanted to know what his backstory was. Like, what produced this? Okay, we had a little sense in that he grew up in the streets of Soweto. That's where he met his first girlfriend. He was bullied. We saw a bit of that, but then I'm like, what happened? Okay, it was mentioned that his parents had died, but then that still did not explain why he was this. What was the madness? What was fueling this thing in Jonasi? If there was any feedback from that, it was like character development for the villain. I wanted a bit more from that. Why is he like this? Why is he like this? And I did not get that answer. Have you seen it? Please comment below. Let me know if you've seen it. What are your thoughts? Do you think that question was answered? Do you know? Have you met anyone like Jonas? There's no one like Jonas in my life. But I know some people who are like that. Maybe a little bit of that, but the Jonas is like the extreme, it felt like. But it also felt familiar because this is a story you've heard before. You've heard of someone who's done this to women, who cheats, who lies, who throws his weight around, can get away with anything. He's enabled by the people around him. No one calls him to question. No one says, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And he feels like he could get away with it. So now I'd like to talk about the women in his life. So Essie was the first girlfriend that they met in Soweto. So you met this woman, fell in love with her. You're both from a very poor background, but you made a promise. I'm going to go into the city. I'm going to make it. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to do this. She gave you money for that because you were from the street. You had nothing. This lady was doing like hairdressing, making ends meet. It's not that she was rich. So all of the money she could gather together, she gave it to you so you could go to school, learn. And the understanding was, I'm coming back for you, right? But oh, no, 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 no. So Jonas went into the city. He went into, I don't know, was it Cape Town or Joburg? But anyway, found his way around through Joyce. Joyce is from an affluent family. Her father has all the connections. She must have seen this boy, this young man who's very obviously intelligent, and thought to herself that, okay, my father will give you all the connections and will help you up and would, raise you up. So Jonas got with Joyce. He felt probably that he had to marry her because this woman is the one who's brought him up. I mean, the wedding was announced in the newspapers. That's how Essie got to find out about it. This is how messy, from the onset, it was mess. And they quickly got married, had a child. But what he refused to mention to Joyce, that he already had a girlfriend back in Soweto. He comes back to Soweto and says, oh, here's the money, here's the car that I promised you, here's the house I promised you. Remember I promised you this. Essie, seeing the money, refused to then question. So what? Okay, she questioned it a little bit, but I think at that point you could take the money and the car and be like, yeah, thank you, you made the promise, but no, I'm not. I don't want anything to do with you. But I think that Jonasi wanted, expected Essie to stay with him. He wanted her, even though he's already had Joyce. And his thing was that, oh, polygamy is our thing. In Africa, there's polygamy. This is a twisted version of polygamy because historically in Africa, polygamy is actually very matriarchal, where it's the women who decide who the new wife is going to be. They introduce the new wife to the husband. So they decide, the first wife decides who comes in. Here, it's the other way around. Jonas is just going around getting with all these women. Essie felt like she had no choice because what was the alternative? So when you live in a system that has failed its citizens, where the gap between the rich and the poor is so wide, women have no choice, young people have no choice. Their only thing is survival. So it's like survival of the fittest. There are only very few rich men, so they'll do anything to stay with this man. And then here comes Matipa. Matipa is with Jonas's brother, older brother, who works in the company. He's got a name Gomorrah. He's not number one on the call sheet. He's not the big boss, but he's closer to the big boss. So this brings us to the same thing we're talking about, where people feel like they had no choice. They have no choice. There's only limited resources, and it's through men that they can reach those limited resources. They feel like I have to make my way in this situation by any means necessary. So Matipa does what she knows to do, uses her body, and gets with Jonasi. And she's like, I'm ready to be wife number 2. I'm ready to go with this polygamy story that Jonasi is giving. It's not a polygamy though, is it? Jonasi never tells the truth to the rest of the women that now there's Matipa. Even Matipa's mom is like, are you sure this is what you'd like to go for? This does not sound good. She got with Jonas and then gets pregnant, has twins. Of course, Jonas, with the big-headed fool that he is, when these women don't give him what he wants, what does he resort to? He resorts to violence and almost killed Matipa, almost got her killed. And I think at that point, she woke up. And I think of all the women, she's the one where I saw her leave. Because normally, when it comes to African families, the woman is encouraged to stay. You've got children. I don't think I've seen any African story, where you see the woman leave the children. But here, Matipa abandons the children, leaves the twins, and she's like, I'm out. She had to save herself from this man, while everyone else held on because, Jonas is the center of all their world, this madman. And then that brings us to Lindani is Jonas's son's crush, who is his daughter's friend. The son is, he's a young boy coming into his own manhood and, trying to get with the girls. He's had a crush on this girl. The older men around him, play with him and they make fun of him like, oh no, you're too young. Is that the girl you want? Blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. Jonas again sets his eye on this girl. She's from a poor home. You see her relationship with her mom isn't great. But of course, what else was going to be the end of Lindani? And she's the only woman who I felt was loyal to herself. She knew what she wanted. She knew that her way out of this was through this man. Very young. Like, Jonas had no business being with a child. Practically a child, somebody who's his daughter's, his children's friend, his son's crush, a child who's barely out of high school, but he gets with her and she's like, if this is the way I'm going to roll, I'm going to ride this horse till the very end. She realizes that, okay, this guy is not going to change. But initially she was deceived. She thought that, oh, this is my way out. And then when she realizes that this guy is not going to change, this guy is a demon, she takes advantage. She takes the card when Jonas is sick. She's like, I'm not taking care of you. Lindani came to do the things that the women before her could not do. At that point, I'm like, yes, yes, finally. I even thought that Lindani was going to be the one to kill this man, but he did it to himself. He didn't actually need anyone to kill him. They just needed to to be there or get away from him because his actions was going to kill him anyway, as we saw towards the end. Lindani, I feel, is like a younger version of Jonas. And I think that's what they will focus on season 2. I think they're talking about season 2. Yeah, she's aiming for the top. And because Jonas's son is dumb, dumb like a doorknob. All he sees is that revenge. He's my father's not taking care of me. I want this. I'm going to do this. Unless maybe he's got a plan as well. But I feel like Lindani has a plan, and she's aiming for the top. I wonder how that's going to be portrayed in season 2. This film holds up a mirror to us because African family, we are traditionally more interested in the external as opposed to the internal life. This is what I mean by that. Everyone encourages the woman to stay, regardless of whether the man is cheating, he's treating you, but at least you've got money. I saw some comments where where somebody said, "Oh, at least Jonas, I like the fact that he kept his promise to Essie." And I'm like, huh? Yes, he kept his promise to Essie, the first wife, by coming back to Soweto, building her the house, giving her the money, giving her the car. But at what expense? She had a child for him that he did not claim publicly. What is that? What is that? But then in a society where the gap, you're either very poor or very rich. If you don't know your way to get very rich, if you haven't got the family connections, if you haven't got the way to make it in life, in a very capitalist patriarchal society, what other way are they going to get to the top? What other way? Essie had no choice in the matter. She had no choice. The choice she had was to maybe get the money and poison the guy and kill him. Get him to like manipulate the wheel, get herself in the wheel, kill the guy, and get rid of him. The women should have come together to get rid of Jonas. That's what they should have done, because he is the devil. There was no they weren't as powerful as him. He's very aggressive, very destructive, violent. What are they going to do? They needed to come together, make sure they're all in the wheel, make sure the children are well taken care of, all in the wheel, and get rid of the guy. That's what they should have done. That's what I would have done. What will people say? How will people see us? How will we be perceived? And that's why most of these women stayed. What will people say if I leave? My children. Even though this guy is killing you, he gave you a STI, you still stayed. He beat you black and blue, you still stayed. He had different children on you, lied on you, you still stayed. Even you allowed him to deceive you to accept that this is polygamy, when this isn't polygamy. This is a distorted version of polygamy. And you see that need to always portray a perfect external life, even though there's madness going on behind closed doors. Even at the end, this duty to always portray perfection externally overrides everything else. Like, why are you claiming the body of this fool that nearly killed you? But she had to. They were fighting over the body of this useless man because everyone had to know that he was buried the way he should be buried. Like, shouldn't you have just thrown his body into a river somewhere or something? Why are we burying this man? Why are we buying him a coffin? Spending all this money on this useless man. But it's unheard of. Like, why would you not? But you have to, regardless of how he's treated everyone around him, you still have to show up at the funeral. And I think that part of it, everyone would identify with that, because if it's not someone in your family, a cousin, if it's not an uncle, it's somebody that someone you've heard of, who people are fighting at the funeral. Children that people don't know about show up at the funeral. People have to put up a farce. People have to pretend, even though they're dying inside. That's me on The Polygamist. Have you seen it? It's on Netflix, 22 episodes. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you've seen it, let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think? Like I said, well done to everyone involved. It was bravo, bravo, bravo. It got everyone talking. I guess the lesson is, if no one does anything to break the cycle, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on onto the next generation. Also, another lesson is that the decisions that are made by all the older characters, the parents, affected all the children. The children, Sarah, Mpume, Menzi, and Ledani, like I said, all their lives were affected by the decisions that were made by the older people, by the parents. And if they don't change and decide that it ends with us, this is not going any further. Their decisions, the decisions they make, will also affect the next generation. I guess that's what we get to see in season 2, if that happens. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you for watching my video. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. I'll see you in the next one.